Hello and welcome back to yet another Cars.co.za video review. I'm David Taylor, and remember the Opel Grandland? Yeah, no, me neither. That first gen model was so forgettable, but the second gen model has arrived in South Africa and we're reviewing that today. And let me just tell you that I think that this is one of 2025's pleasant surprises. And before I get into this video review where we unpack features, value for money, space, and so much more, let me remind you that Cars.co.za, we sell cars, and right now there are over 85,000 vehicles for sale. And of those, 850 Opels are there for sale. So, right, it's time for some music.
Cars.co.za, Cars.co.za.
So yes, Opel Grandland Take 2, because the first one, and I'm sorry Opel, but it was just so forgettable. It did most of the things right, but I mean, when people were buying compact SUVs, it was not exactly A, the brand, or B, the product that came to people's minds first. So Opel, look, they've got a new Grandland out and a lot has changed. This platform is the STLA Medium, and this is your mid-size C-segment SUVs. So thanks to this platform, the second generation Opel Grandland is taller, wider, and longer, with Opel claiming 17 centimeters longer overall length. This impacts things like wheelbase, which is critical for passenger carrying capacity as well as boot space. And Opel claims more interior space plus a bigger boot. Now, Opel has got a very interesting history, especially of late. They were under the ownership of General Motors up until about 2021, which was when they merged into a big conglomeration, is a big word for a Friday morning, called Stellantis. Now, Stellantis was formed in 2021, and that comprises a number of brands. Here we go. Jeep, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, Fiat, Peugeot, Citroën, Opel, Chrysler, Dodge, and I think a number of the American SUV big bucky brands like Ram, I think, as well. So the result is now you've got all of these brands with all of the identities under one big flagship control. And I think some brands could have lost their identities, but the benefits are a lot of platform sharing, so you can help keep the cost down. So something like the Opel Grandland shares the same platform with the Peugeot 3008, the Peugeot 5008, and in the future you're going to see products from Jeep and Alfa Romeo all on this platform. Right, so what has Opel South Africa brought into our country? There's just one model available. This is the GS line, and as you can see, I think it's really good looking. It's priced at just under 800,000 Rand, at which point you go, 800,000 Rand seems like quite a lot of money for a generic family SUV, but pretty much everything else is priced from about 750 to 800, and there are a lot of rivals to unpack. So let's go through some popular choices. Kia Sportage, which is a Cars Awards winner. Its sibling, the Hyundai Tucson, Volkswagen Tiguan, Mazda CX-5, I mean, that's on run out. There's an all-new one coming to South Africa in 2026. You can't forget the Chinese either. Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, Haval H6, the good old Toyota RAV4, although mind you, that's priced a little bit higher than all of these. So there's a lot of choice and a lot of good cars. So there's one derivative available, which means that there's only one powertrain to choose from. And it's basically an updated version of the previous models, the 1.6 turbocharged 4-cylinder. So the second gen Grandland benefits from a power increase. So there's now 134 kilowatts and 300 Newton meters. On duty, good old 6-speed auto, and it's front wheel driven. I've gone through the technical data and Opel doesn't seem to claim a 0 to 100, so you're welcome, I've done the testing for you, and this little car ran 0 to 100 in 8.8 seconds, which is not the quickest, but it's not exactly struggling either. I will say that this engine, in day-to-day driving situations, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's refined. If you start working it through the rev range, it becomes a little bit coarse and a little bit rough. So that's not great, but I suppose I'm just going to put it back into normal mode, comfortable mode for Dave. And yeah, car's going to settle down. And I think in terms of refinement and just drive quality, I think Opel has done a good job here. This has got a very mature driving experience to it. When it comes to fuel economy, Opel claims 7 litres per 100. There's a 55 litre fuel tank, so that gives you, I would say, about 850 Ks between fill-ups. And then the fun started when Sean and I this morning tried to work out how to find the trip computer. Now, this is a bit of an ergonomic disaster. So we actually worked out that if you push what we would think would be the Opel button, the information is actually displayed on the head-up display. So we're so busy looking at the instrument cluster and the infotainment screen, and then we realize that the information is in front of us. Now, if I flick through the head-up display, which is a very good unit, by the way, the graphics are quite modern. There's a lot of functionality being put up here, which is great, because then you're not always like sitting and eyes off the road. Eyes are right here. Now, if I open up the trip computer, let's see. It's currently averaging 8.9 litres per 100. I think that's a little on the higher side, but truth be told, we've been quite enjoying how this thing drives, and we've been using the sport mode, Sean and I, a little bit too much. I'm throwing my colleague under the bus here because why not? Let's talk about ride quality and handling. I want to do handling first because there's corners. And look, I don't think many drivers of vehicles in this segment will be tackling corners with enthusiasm like we are. But I can't help but enjoy the way this thing drives. It drives far better than I think a medium-sized family SUV needs to. The steering, feedback, direct, responsive, ride quality, slightly on the firmer side, but I'm blaming the 19-inch wheels for that. If you close your eyes, you could think you're in an Audi Q3, BMW X1, Merc GLA. That's how competent this ride quality is. And after I drove it for the first couple of days, I then looked at the brochure and it said, no, it has this magic ride quality. And I want to just read you what this thing does. So I went onto Opel's website, and they had this to say: the dampers have frequency selective damping FSD technology, which is used in the chassis. I don't know what that is. It just sounds like the suspension is squidgy and comfortable and balanced. So they're not quite adaptive dampers, but yeah, let's find some potholes. There we go. See, there's no crashing and no jarring. I like that. And remember that these are 19-inch wheels. Okay, they do have a little bit of cushion of a higher sidewall, but the ride quality on this Grandland, this is better than it needs to be. Let's talk warranty, price, and after sales. So what exactly do you get for your 789-900? There's a 5-year 100,000 K warranty and a 5-year 90,000 K service plan, which I think is more average than anything else. And the problem is some of the newcomers into the segments, especially like the Havals and the Cherys of this world, they're coming in with massive 7-year this, 10-year that, million-kilometer warranties. And that makes it very challenging for the legacy brands to be competitive in the after sales. So look, I think the pricing for what you get is fair, but I do think the warranty could be just a little bit longer. Now it's time to look at the cabin of the 2nd generation Grandland. And guys, I'm in love. There's a refreshing simplicity to this cabin. Whereas the trend now is to put everything into a touchscreen, Opel has gone, you know what? We're going to keep things simple and keep things ergonomically sound with some buttons. So yes, you can control functions with a touchscreen and it's pretty responsive. This is good, but good old-fashioned buttons, guys. The amount of times I've been driving and I'm going, oh, could do with a little bit of cold now because it's getting hot, and I can just go, easy as that. Why have brands ditched conventional buttons? And I'm looking at you, Chinese brands. No one needs a 35-inch Samsung, LG TV, whatever here. Just keep it simple, keep it working, and make sure it's fluid. Now remember, your price point is 790,000 Rand, but before you all go, oh no, I'm never paying that for an Opel. Guys, remember that its rivals are all positioned roughly about the same amount of money. And if you take its number one rival, let's say the Volkswagen Tiguan, then you're going to start having to add in those options. And where in the case of the Grandland, Mark II that is, everything is standard. Heated seats, which are ventilated, which have massage function. Now I want to talk about these seats for a minute. And it's so generic for motoring people to say, oh, they're so comfortable. But these genuinely are. These seats are actually officially regarded as comfortable and good for you because there's a German organization called Aktion Gesunder Rücken, which is basically an organization promoting healthy spine and healthy backs. And when you're stuck in traffic, all you need in life is a nice massage. So I'm going to select cat paw and here we go. There's nothing like a gentle kneading on your lower back after a long day at work. Let's talk about build quality and the materials used. Like, everything feels pretty plush and premium even, which is impressive for a brand that's seen as just general middle of the road. I mean, Opel's not seen as premium, but I think the Grandland Mark II punches into that premium space. The materials, they're worth a special mention because Opel has said that 100% of the materials used in this cabin, that's this, that, this, and this, is all sourced from recycled materials. So how cool is that? The list of standard features is really impressive. I've already touched on these really fancy seats, which are, as a reminder, heated, ventilated, and massage functionality. I've got this nice high quality infotainment system. I've got this minimalist, crisp instrument cluster. I've got matrix LED headlights. You know those fancy ones that Audis have where you're driving at night and then it doesn't dazzle the car in front of you? This has that. There is a pano roof. Must-have option in South Africa. Volkswagen says it's the most popular option in its range. So Opel's going, you know what, we're also going to put a pano roof in this. There is a wireless charger in here, 2 USB-Cs. I do wish it had wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You do have to plug your cable in for that. But for me, I don't think that's too much of a deal breaker because those mirroring technologies do drain your battery, and I prefer to have my phone charging all the time. And when it comes to safety, the Opel Grandland comes fully loaded. This thing's got a panoramic camera, it's got lane keeping assist. It even has the ability to recognize traffic signs. So while you're driving along, if you're exceeding the speed limit, it'll go, you're actually in a 60 zone, so just go get out of 70. Nobody needs to pay that 200 Rand fine. It's a waste of time. There's front and rear parking sensors, there's rear cross traffic alerts, and one of the coolest features I've seen, the rear camera has its own little cleaning device. So yes, it'll self-cleaning camera. How cool is that? And when you're paying almost 800,000 Rand for a practical, sensible family SUV, it's all about the second row. Let's go check it out. Right, and now we're in the back, and right away you can see that I have pretty impressive knee room, and this is due to the design of these seats. Instead of having a completely flat back, they've got nice little curves and indents, so there's room for your knees. Like, it's that level of detail that I can get behind. Rear passengers also benefit from these nice little storage pockets. Heated seats at the rear, you don't see that in many cars at this price point. There's 2 USB-Cs plus a 12-volt socket, plus a little storage unit over here. And on a real hot summer's day, you can reach forward. This central console is air-conned, so you can keep your drinks cool. Little things like that. Really impressive. Headroom, yeah, that's where it falls short, but remember that I'm above average height. But I think I can just about get it. I think, yeah, in terms of rear cabin space, I'm satisfied. Now, as I've mentioned, the second generation Grandland is a physically bigger car, both in terms of overall length and wheelbase. And also, it's time for a boot test. And remember, it's not a Cars.co.za review unless you review the budget cooler box. But before I do that, notice over here, the Opel logo has been replaced by the words Opel. And I've never seen that before in an Opel product. Right, boot test time. Okay, as you can see, we've got our 3 cooler boxes in so far. That's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go 4, 5. Okay, that's reasonable. I think that's about on par with the segment. And remember, you could use our comparison tool to compare the Grandland to things like the Tiguan and the Sportage to see which one fares the best. And I'm happy to report that there is a spare wheel. Yes, it's a space saver, but on South African roads, a space saver is better than nothing. Now I want to talk about some very interesting moments we've had with this Opel Grandland, because while so far you've probably think, well, Dave loves this car, but we've had some, let's talk about some software glitches. So the first one is we've got this little orange light that pops up every now and then, but seeing a little orange light on your dashboard is not a good time. And then the second issue we've picked up, one day we were just driving, just getting a feel for the car, and suddenly little engine malfunction, please stop car. And guys, that is how you get your heart rate to go up quite a number of beats per minute. That is unnecessary stress. And we looked at this and thought, okay, so I pulled over, switched the car off, switched the car back on, and the message disappeared. That is not okay. So touch wood, we haven't seen it during the shoot. I would have loved to have shown you this error message. Haven't seen it just yet, but it's a little bit disconcerting, and it feels a little French because a Peugeot 3008 a few years ago used to do a similar thing. And the problem with a message like that is it could be anything. It could be a bad patch of fuel going through one of the sensors. It could be a little bit of weird temperature. It could be anything. And as quickly as it comes on, it quickly goes off. But it's not exactly confidence inspiring. But I hope that these problems are limited to just this test car. Who knows? I don't know what it's been doing for the past 3,700 kilometers. It could have been a homologation unit and it's seen and done everything. So if you do have an Opel Grandland Mark II, do let me know in the comments if you encounter any of these issues, and I hope that there are no replies. And I hope that your Grandland experience is superb. Okay, so let's summarize Opel Grandland Chapter 2. This has been a pleasant surprise. I think it drives far better than it needs to. I think the standard equipment loadout is really good. It's honest, it does what it says on the tin. But the problem is, I think people want to see cars as status symbols. They want to show off and go like, wow, this is a brand new flashy car. And I don't think the Opel has quite the image for that, which is a shame because it does quite a lot of things very well. I think some people, and please don't shoot me for this, I do think some people will see this car as a bit boring, which is a shame because, I mean, if you're not really a car person, this is a pretty decent offering. And that brings me to the end of the Opel Grandland review. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think it's boring? Do you think it's well thought out? I mean, I do value your opinion. And remember, Cars.co.za, 86,000 vehicles for sale. That's a lot of cars. There is something for everyone, be it hatchbacks, city cars, double cabs, supercars, and everything in between. I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.
Let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za. Hello, you join me and my Fern in the Cars.co.za Cape Town office, where I have been asked to tell you about our new quick search feature in our app. Now, if you don't have our app, it's been downloaded by over 2 million South Africans, completely free. It's in any app store that you use. Go ahead and get it right now. And we've just launched a very cool new feature. It's a first in South Africa. So it's basically plain English search. And this is how it works. You open the app and in the quick search bar, you just type what you're looking for. So BMW X3 Silver Gauteng. And then bang, hit, I've misspelled Gauteng. Then hit search and we pre-populate all those filters for you so you don't have to fiddle. And then you get, of all the 72,000 cars on our site, all the silver X3s in Gauteng for you to choose from. That's actually quite clever. I didn't know it could do that. Should probably read my emails sometimes.